Hey, this is Michimotsu doing a little bit more serious project this time around. I don't know why I just talked like a British person there. Anyway, this is probably my first and may even be my last book review. Although this is kind of a half-assed book review, because I mean, if I really wanted to take the time, you'd probably have to wait a lot longer to see a set of videos. But I imagine my subscribers are happy enough to get 2 or 3 videos a month from me. Because, well, not to mention I'm terribly lazy. I had to spend so much time doing other stuff. I mean, I'm reading. That's what I was doing for the past month and a half or more. Since Christmas, I've been reading the Buddha manga. As in, the manga series called Buddha, simply. By Osamu Tezuka, who's much more well known for his series like Astro Boy and I believe Cyborg 009. I'm not certain on that. He also did Kimba the White Lion, and he's basically as it's not even an exaggeration to say he's the grandfather of manga in general and comics in the East to a great extent. Anyway, many people probably would be a little turned off by the idea of a manga based on what is at least commonly considered a religious person. And in all fairness, the series is not without a lot of religious overtones or undertones. Not to mention there's a lot of philosophical philandering going on and just a lot of things that will make you question your purpose in life, probably. Or, I don't know, potentially want to commit suicide. I don't advocate the latter because that's not cool. I don't want to lose subscribers, even if they remain subscribed to me, but they're dead. But, anyway. Point being is that I'm going to try to give you a number of reasons why you should read this. This should probably be about 2 parts. That's all I can probably manage to talk about without spoiling anything and trying to keep it interesting. To begin with, there are 2 versions of this. I would recommend paperback if only because it's cheaper, not to mention it probably is more flexible in the long run. You know, when you're bending the spine and everything. But if you want the hard covers, then I'm giving you a preview in the image you see before you as you're listening to this video, which I don't know why you would, but I guess I have almost 50 subscribers. I'll eventually have them, so I suppose I should be thankful enough. Anyway, if you see the pictures here, I believe both of them are previews, or not previews, they're pictures, what am I talking about, of the Osamu Tezuka collector final, something to that effect. It's basically something of a collector's item more than anything. You wouldn't necessarily actually want to crack the spine on these. You just want to have them to say, hey, I own the hardcover version of Buddha with these slightly different, well, not slightly different, they're actually drastically different in many respects. The covers for the paperbacks, I might do another set of videos for if I can actually manage to take some decent pictures on my webcam that is built into my computer monitor. I can take pictures of the paperback covers and post them in a series of a few videos, probably 2 to 3, with me commenting on each image for, I don't know, maybe a minute. Look forward to that. Anyway, price range is going to probably put you at a little under 100, well, not a little, I'm talking about, if we assume that you pay a consistent amount of, say, $11 per volume, and this is assuming you buy them on Amazon. If you buy them somewhere else, then perhaps they might be at a more consistent price, like $10, in which case you'd be paying $80 actually, which, well, technically you'd probably be paying still $88 overall because of tax, but regardless, the price is going to run you about $90 for all 8 volumes, in which case what you might want to do is buy 4, spend a week or so reading them, and then, you know, take a break and wait for the other 4 that you order to come in the mail, which is pretty much exactly what I did. I spent roughly a week reading the first 4 volumes, then waited about a week, and then the other 4 volumes came in the mail, yay, and I read them. Of course, that took me a little longer, like a week and a half. But it's a very enjoyable series, only because of a number of factors, one of which being that it reads really fast. There's a lot of splash pages. There's a lot of pages that don't have a lot of dialogue to distract you. And then there's also a good, consistent presentation of an attempt at a historical presentation, but don't expect, historical accuracy, because the creator did realize that if he had just presented the Buddha's life to you, it would have been probably pretty boring, because in its historical context, it would have been exciting to those people. Not so much to us, unless we're really, really interested in anything Buddhist related, in which case, well, maybe they would have enjoyed that. But in this case, the author, Tezuka, had to take a lot of license with characters and historical and non-historical. Not to mention, there's a lot of anachronism, and I think after a while you just get used to it. I mean, initially you might be a little off-put by him mentioning stuff like Paris and New York, when obviously people in India in the 500 BC did not know about New York or Paris, nor did they even exist in someone's mind as an idea. So you really have to get used to Tezuka's style of presentation and everything. Not to mention, yes, there will be a lot of, especially when you see animals, but also when you see female characters, it's very cutesy looking at times, you might say. I mean, as the series progresses, Buddha becomes a lot less, cartoony and Mickey Mouse looking. Not that he really looks like Mickey Mouse, but I guess his eyes, if anything. But then he matures, but that's the whole point of the series that makes it very appealing. That it covers the life of one person to a point where they have changed so drastically. Although it covers the lives of many people. Let me think. There's a guy called Tata, who is considered, well, I would consider him probably almost the second most important character, because he lasts for a good 90% of the series. And, not to spoil it for you, but there are a lot of deaths here. It's not like a lot of the main characters die, but there are some main characters that will unfortunately pass on, which is just how it happens. It's how the story goes. That's not to say that any Buddhist disciples are going to die, as far as I can really tell you. No, none of them die, really. But let's see, we also have Ananda and Kassapa, who are considered his two most important disciples, but there's also Sariputta and Moggallana. And if anything, you're really going to miss and feel a little, you're going to feel an absence of the female characters, because there aren't a lot of female characters that are actual historical figures that are placed in this series. At the most, we have Buddha's mother in the first volume, which, it's no shock that she dies after having Buddha, because, I don't know, the story has to have some tragedy in it, I suppose. Anyway, we also have his wife, Yashodhara, we have his aunt, Pajapati, we have Viruka, I believe was her name. She was a lay disciple that supposedly she joined him a lot earlier, but the story, with many other things, including one of his other disciples, Asaji, he takes a lot of license with that stuff. Anyway, the next video is probably going to be really, really short, but I'm going to try to wrap this up for now, so I can kind of ramble on more about other things. I mean, I've already kind of given you a good summary about why you should get it. I mean, it's not terribly expensive. The only thing I could really warn you about is that you're probably going to want to do this in a few settings. It's not recommended you do this in one sitting, although I've nearly done it sometimes. But you have to take breaks, because the immensity of the story will just weigh on you, and you'll have to take a break occasionally just to absorb it into you and just think and meditate on it, so to speak. No pun or tongue-in-cheek reference intended there, but it's not exactly always going to be, there's a lot of comedic moments inserted, I'll admit that much, but after a while it gets pretty downright dark and serious a lot. There's very little that will give you a chuckle anymore. You'll just be thinking, wow, this is horrible, or wow, that's sad, or wow, that makes me really think about my life, stuff like that. just a vast change after a while. Anyway, that's for now. That's it for now. See you later.